Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing my Hawthorn vs Western Bulldogs match sim notes, just going through there and telling you what I sort of thought alongside the tweets and sort of adding a little bit more, as it can be quite hard to sort of fit all my thoughts onto the tweets. So I'll just be going through that thread that I put together for that match sim. And so that should be that will be today's video. Obviously Wednesday probably won't have a video, then Thursday we'll start to have the proper match I guess community series, going through each game and sort of looking not only at the scores but also the roles. So that's sort of what we'll be doing for the next sort of 5-6 days. And then you'll have sort of my my ladder predictions and my round 0 predictions just before that Sydney game, Sydney versus Melbourne game that kicks off this season in like 10 or so days. But anyway, let's before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you know when I upload, and also just leave your thoughts, comments, and or in the comments section below, so that we get some good interaction there, as it also can help me sort of understand what you guys want to see in the future. So anyway, let's jump into this. So as you can see here is my Twitter thread, and so the match sim notes, quarter one. Caulfield started pretty well from memory. If I actually go to AFL Central here, hopefully it has it up. Here we go, and then we can go here, and then we can go down a little bit. Does it have the Melbourne 1-4, Fremantle? We're looking for the Western Bulldogs versus Hawthorn game, and looking for the stats for that. So let's see, does it have the quarter by quarter stats? Let's see, I should have probably done this beforehand, but let's just see if he does have the quarter by quarter stats. I don't think he does, but anyway, it doesn't look like he does have them at the moment, but yeah, it doesn't look like I can find them. But anyway, that would have been helpful, but there's that. So we'll just go back to the stats. 1 second, let me just bring this up, so I'll bring it up here. So can't find the stats for that, but Caulfield I think started well. I believe he was on like 34 or something like that at halftime, but that's sort of the start that we needed from him. It's just something like that in what was actually, I thought, a pretty contested game. There wasn't really much slowdown in the game, unlike the North Melbourne game that we just that a lot of the guys who actually watched in full. I didn't get to watch that North Melbourne game. They sort of commented that it was a little bit more kick to kick out of all the games. So this one wasn't as much kick to kick, in my opinion, from what I saw. So you could sort of see that Caulfield was going to get, I would expect, given they did best 22, him to get more cheeky +6s through marks and just more distribution when the games actually get to the round 1, etc. So he started off really strong. Sanders, there's not much you need more to talk about. Yep, he's going to be your M8 for the time being, M7 or M8. I'm running with M8 just because there's so much value across the ground at the moment. Poulter started really well. I thought he actually had a good game. I don't remember what his stats were directly, but I thought he had a pretty good game of it himself. And then Libba, he was really, really good in and under. So that was really, really good from him, as I'm trying to at the same time find the stats for you guys just to give you it. Hawthorn's first quarter, Ginnivan started strong, but he's not going to have a fantasy relevance. He's not really going to have he's just sort of going to average, what was he averaging here? Let me just check here. Ginnivan, I need to switch it to forwards. He averaged last year 45. I wouldn't be surprised if he averages 55 or something like that. His scores can fluctuate, but 1 week he's going to put up a 90, and 1 week he's going to put up like a 70 or something like that. So I wouldn't be looking into it too much for him. And then you have here Connor McDonald. He actually started the game really well, and something I've sort of leaned into a little bit is that the first sort of half of these games are when you really start to actually get actual fantasy relevance, as a lot of players are pulled in games. Not so much in this game, as it seems like they got split in two. The players in that Bont, English, Trelaw were all playing in the twos. I think there were some from the were there any from Hawthorn that got pulled into the twos game? I don't think so. I don't think Amon I think just got rested. I don't think he played in the twos. So there's that. So yeah, I did think that McDonald had a really good first half, but his second half wasn't so good. So I'm just wondering and waiting on him a little bit. Warple got so many balls in and under in that first sort of quarter, but then he then decided to I don't remember in the third or fourth quarter, but I don't think he got too many. But he was just running on no efficiency. It was just all hat kicks. And then Sicily's role actually did look fine, even though we've been saying, don't go Sicily, don't go this. If I actually go to here and I go back out to the defenders and then go 900k defenders and then go team selected by, you'll see that Sicily and Sinclair are dropping. Remember when we talked about this maybe even less than a week ago, they were both at 21 or 22%. Now Sinclair's at 16. He did miss, but he seemed was it on track or on? I think it was on track to play round one, so that's fine there. But his injury preseason, that's never a really good time for a premium. And Sicily has, although it looked good in the practice games, role troubles, I would say. Then we get to the second quarter. Jones actually, I thought, really did well. And he's one that won't have much relevance across both Fantasy and Supercoach, just because he's not really a massive distributor of the ball, so he doesn't really get terribly much touches, but he actually had a really good game. Libber, again, just stacking it up. And Caulfield went quiet. I think he might have only had 14 points or something in the first quarter and 20 in the second, but I swear I saw him more in the first than the second, which probably means that I wasn't watching too heavily. But he just decided to it was in the third or fourth quarter that he really got going. I think he might have even had two 20-point quarters in the third and fourth, which shows that he can score. Let's just see here. Just got the fantasy stats here. So Libber 125, Norton 104. That's just because he dominated the Hawthorn keys. Sanders and Harms 101. Sam Darcy 97. Riley West 77. Nick Caulfield 76. McNeil 65. Jason Johannesson 64. Bailey Williams 60. Liam Jones 59. And Caleb Daniel 58. Cleary 53, Poulter 52, but he had a really strong start, I'm led to believe. Lobb and Baker 50, Buku Kama's 49, and then some 30s, etc. So there's that, I guess. Let's just see. Does he have any of the full stats? I don't know whether he released the full stats for the Bulldogs, as in the I don't think he did the full stats for them, the Excel spreadsheet for that, or at least released it, so we probably won't get that. But if someone has that, then they can put it in the comments. We got Caulfield, as I said, quiet, and Caleb Daniel getting more touches. I think he sort of faded in the second half from memory, but he looked pretty good in the first half and will be definitely an option once we figure out the top six forwards, as I think he will be there in the forwards, but I don't think he has much value gain. I think he just stays around that 90 or so that we've seen before, so I think he's one that you just trade up to once you get the value out of the guys that are so underpriced. Then we move down to Hawthorn. McDonald getting more of the ball, so I thought he had a really good half from what I saw. Newcomb started to really gain more touches on the ball. Let me actually bring up the Hawthorn stats for you guys, because I know that McDonald got, I think, 65, I want to say. So that was not necessarily the greatest. Let me just bring it up. Here we go. 104 for Huswaite, D'Ambrosio 86, Scrimshaw 84, Mackenzie 84, Ginnivan 78, Hardwick 70, MP 68, McDonald 65, Sicily 64, Reeves 60, Chol 56, Newcomb 54. And yeah, Newcomb was 54, and it seems like he had less than 50% time on ground. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was 3 or even a half of game that he played, 3/4 or half. Because that's what I was generally saying previously, is that the first half is when a lot of the, after halftime, a lot of the stars get pulled and stuff like that. So you don't really get to see 4/4. I mean, we saw Sarong get pulled in their game. Gordon only played a half. Some other guys only played a half. Fife only played a half, I'm led to believe, as well. So when you look at their stats and you don't have a time on ground and you see 40 points or whatever, or 86 and for Sarong, and you go, preseason stats are maybe plus or minus 5, but they're well down on their average. You go, I don't like that. But then you see the time on ground or something like that, and you see that where the stats are sort of stacking up, or are they getting non-disposals or disposals? That's where you start to see why it happened, and that's why we say look for the role rather than the scoring of players. And so that's why McDonald I'm sort of iffy on, because I didn't like the role, but the scoring wasn't that bad. Newcomb obviously has that same role, but I don't know whether that scoring is going to be necessarily up, so that's why I'm a little bit colder on him. And Guy Caulfield, I like the role, scoring was there as well, so that's why I'm hot on him. And then Hardwick looked good as a forward option, but they kept on losing guys, so he's probably going to have to go back, I would suggest. Even though he looks good as a forward, it's almost like they need some accountability down there. They keep on losing guys, and you can't sort of have three or four distributors down back there and no defensive accountability. And then we go, Mackenzie started to get involved. This is the second quarter, as you could tell by, what did I say? He got 84. I think he had like a 8 or 10 first quarter. It wasn't much. And then he started to just set it alight. I think he ended up with about 20 touches in the end. And then, yeah, Huswaite, definitely a young point of difference in the midfield, because he's like 192, 193, I swear. He is tall. So him, like Connor Nash wasn't there. Will Day obviously injured. So they do have some guys out. So it'll be interesting to see how that midfield shapes up. But they did say before the Will Day injury that Mackenzie should be getting more time. And I think he is one that could sneak into that midfield for the Hawks, or even play off half forward and be that sort of Sam Flanders role of being the next to the contest, or I guess you could say Sam Walsh. They seem to do that pretty well. Then we move on to the third quarter, and Harms started to get a fair few touches. He looked pretty good. Only problem with him is that if you go and look at the CBAs, he had like 68% CBAs or 60 odd percent, and he's just not going to get that many. If you think about it, you got Bont, Treloar, Libba that are all ahead of him. Then you got Sanders, who is ahead of Harms in the midfield. And then McRae, apparently he got re-injured, but he's there or thereabouts. I have him on track for round 1 from the latest news that I've heard. And I think he's ahead of Harms. So how does Harms become a decent enough scorer to be in the side if he is your 5th or 6th option in the midfield when he's only getting 20%? I don't see how he can do terribly much and be even an impactful player, given he is priced at, if we go here, all positions, Harms here. He's currently priced at 71. How is he even going to score? Like, even if he's a 90 guy, which I don't think he will be, how is he going to be valued there at priced at 71 when he's got to go to be a top 6 forward? He's got to go plus 20 or so, and I don't see the role being there to necessarily do that. So that's why I'm not. Harms is more of a super coach guy than an AFL fantasy. Baker looked good, but what did we say? He didn't get too many. Norton, as I said, he looked really good. Obviously not that much fantasy relevance, but he could easily be a guy that kicks 55 or 60 in a season. And then, yeah, Sanders was a weapon. Hawthorn here, McKenzie, and yeah, probably Hustwaite as well, just dominating this game, this quarter. McKenzie, yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see his round one role. Will it be in the middle? Will it be on the wing? Will it be half forward? I don't necessarily know, as I'm not too caught up with the Hawthorn mix, and I'm not outside of the Swans. I don't think it's really fair to say that to give you a true definite opinion on something, but I think his game definitely is better on the, just slightly on the outside than necessarily on the inside. So I think that McKenzie should be, if I was to put him in a spot, I would potentially put him on the wing or half forward. I wouldn't necessarily put him in the CBAs, which will probably limit his output, as I personally like Newcomb in the centre. But I think he definitely deserves a shot. But that is without Nash and Day. So when they come back in, does he drop? There is potential for that, but I'm not 100% sure. So I would go over to Daz, who's a Hawks fan, and some other Hawks fans to get a better outlook on that one, as they could probably tell you exactly where he's going to play, etc., and give you more of an insight. And then we have here Newcomb as well, number one midfielder. I think, yeah, he would have played 3 quarters, and he really, he just did his thing, and it's fine. Like, it's totally fine what he's going to do. He's going to do somewhere, I would suspect. If I had to put a number, he's going to do somewhere between 90 and 105. It's just, what is he going to do? And so, yeah, that's an interesting watch. And then Weddle off halfback, fun to watch. He just doesn't have enough defensive anchors around him to let him run. And McDonald showing good signs, but he just stopped getting generally involved in the play. He just needs more possessions, get him on the ball more and stuff like that. So as that half forward, he sort of just has, I wouldn't say a graveyard shift, but he just doesn't get enough of the ball to really impact the game. And so there's that, and then that should be quarter 4, not 5. And yeah, as you can see, many of the stars have come off. But let's see who the rookies are. And yeah, Sanders, yeah, he'll be 75 plus. He'll be 70. I think he'll be a 75 to 80 guy. Baker looking good again, so that was his second mention. Really like the Harms for Supercoach, but don't expect him to be. He should be top 15 or so, but it'll be interesting. It'd be interesting to see the dynamic of how efficient Harms is, because that is a main indicator with Supercoach. So if he is efficient enough with the role he could get in the Dogs midfield, with that, not midfield but half forward type of role, he could easily get some cheap possessions on the wing that could easily, or wing half forward area that could really help him with his scoring. And I don't know where he would lie in terms of the top forwards next year. Hawthorn Phillips looks decent. And with the Hawthorn style of more chip based rather than free flowing, I guess it could help him. But then again, we did see D'Ambrosio go absolutely nuts, so it'll be interesting to see how they go, as D'Ambrosio is more of a guy that pushes like the accelerator on it. So it will be interesting to see what style they go with, and we'll get more of an idea as we get more games, as we get that extra watch this week. And then also we get, obviously these guys will probably need to be picked up at the start, but you can readjust and correct trades after a week or two. And get to the right guys. Wards seems behind Hustwaite and McKenzie now, I would say, and obviously behind McDonald. So he's one that I think has just come into a side at the wrong time, and he definitely looks like a more inside type of player that picks up the contested possessions rather than a McKenzie. But it just looks like Hustwaite has just steamrolled past him. And then McDonald, yeah, he just got touches early in each of the quarters and then just seemed to fade. Maybe I was watching him too much, but yeah, he just needs to get up to that 20 to 22 touches a game, and then he'll be a top 6 to 8 forward. And then also McKenzie, yeah, I think he's got a spot in the best 22 at the moment with the injuries that they have at the moment. So that is basically my Hawthorn versus Bulldogs really late review, as I had some other... It probably would have come out yesterday, I would say, but then the Parker news came out, so that sort of overrode that video, so it came out today, and that's obviously a lot of other people have already done their notes. They've done more in depth, etc., and have like fancy stats per quarter and stuff like that, so are definitely more in depth than me. But that was just my initial observations, and just to add to all the other guys that have done it, Supercoach and also fantasy creators that have done it. But that's the video there, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.